The Leamington Society Awards are and have been for over 40 years a celebration of how projects in Leamington Spa help to make this place one in which people really want to live. The town has been doing this since the early 19th century. It's had its ups and downs, but it's now probably as thriving and as attractive as it ever has been. These awards focus on schemes from the smallest domestic improvements to multi-million-pound buildings, but what they all have in common is the contribution they make to the quality of life in Leamington Spa. To illustrate this, I'm sharing with you the schemes which received awards in 2018, the last time the event could be held. There were 14 awards, and they don't only range in size, but also in function, and I've split these into 3 groups. The largest group are residential projects, and then health and well-being in the broadest sense, and lastly, commercial buildings. Sayer Court on Tatchbrook Road has produced a rare example of sheltered housing, in this case for the over 50s, which is thoroughly urban, yet somehow intimate. It is colourful, and the sense of community is there for all to see. Audley Binswood is a retirement village set in the conversion of the ex-Leamington Boys' School, which has respected the original Victorian buildings and created extensions for its residential accommodation, which are not pastiche, but have, in a contemporary way, matched the dignity and the substance of Victorian housing. All Saints House. Now, this site has had a sad history. A fine Victorian school building, eventually misused, abandoned and finally destroyed by fire. Its replacement, a residential unit for vulnerable adults, was a considerable challenge in this urban backwater, surrounded by the rear of shops, industrial buildings, a railway viaduct and car parks. With close cooperation with conservation officers, it has succeeded in providing a building welcoming to residents with elevations, a mixture of stucco and brickwork, detailing, and an evocation of the original school building. Park House, 17th Avenue Road, was a conversion of a previous NHS facility, which had suffered from several unsympathetic alterations over the years, now achieving the double benefit of restoration of a building to its former authentic glory, and also providing much needed residential accommodation in the form of 8 flats in the city centre. This building, on the corner of Binswood Street and Rugby Road, has solved the problem of designing a building on the corner of 2 very different streets with an ingenious combination of a stuccoed apartment building facing the stuccoed terrace of Binswood Street and a terrace of houses in brick facing the predominant brickwork environment of Rugby Road. Oxford House on Oxford Street presented another urban challenge, this time a small infill to a 19th century terrace of houses and shops which have been much altered over the years. It's created a trio of flats, accessed from the side alleyway, which are attractive to live in and an interesting facade to the streetscape. The last of the housing projects, the wrought railings to front garden, is also the smallest of the 14 awards, but by no means the least important. It is wonderful that the owners should think it worthwhile to spend money on restoring an original detail to their property when a much cheaper solution would have been possible. They are, however, by no means the only people to have done this, and similar awards have been given in the past. The result is very attractive and something that the whole community can enjoy and admire. Now, health and welfare. In this second group, we start with the Christian Healing Centre on Augusta Place. This was the location of a disused church, so it has brought to life an inner city site, which was rather sad, but now positively contributes to the townscape with a well-proportioned elevation onto Augusta Place, as well as offering comfort to very many people. Offering a service of a very different sort, but also contributing to the well-being of lots, mainly young people, is the skateboard track in Victoria Park. This construction not only provides a desperately popular facility, but adds a huge piece of dramatic sculpture to the park landscape. The last three awards in this group provide a service which might not at first speak of health and welfare, but the absence of which over the last year or so would seem to have had a very negative effect on our mental health during the COVID-19 pandemic, namely the coffee shop. Firstly, on Warwick Street, the refurbishment of a retail unit that had very bland 1960s detailing has reconstructed a 19th century shopfront which matches those original ones on the street and presents a welcoming sight for customers. The interior has also retained many features of the original building. Secondly, in the south of the town, Temperance on Bath Street, a coffee shop, is another example of sensitive architectural refurbishment that brings an historic building back into focus. Temperance not only pleases the eye, but provides very much more, much more than coffee. Food, music and film being just a few things that are offered. To make train travellers' experience hugely more comfortable and comforting is the reopened cafe on the up line at Leamington Station. It was a long time coming, but like the trains, it finally arrived. And now lastly, two commercial projects, both buildings for prestigious companies that have chosen to locate in Leamington Spa. Tata Technology, a subsidiary of Tata Motors, is an engineering consultancy for product development and IT services management to the automotive and aerospace industries. Their investment here indicates how important these industries are to the area and how central Leamington Spa is to them. And location was a major factor in the arrival here of our last award to the Vitsu building on Old Warwick Road. Vitsu was based in London, but since their business is primarily the assembly of components to create prestigious office furniture, realization that Leamington Spa was central to the location of most of the suppliers of those components made sense to move it here. Also, the company's management has an ethical and sustainable approach to working, so the fact that many more of their employees can, for instance, cycle to work is a bonus. The building has been constructed with an extremely low carbon footprint, has no concrete in the construction, was built without the use of scaffolding and operates mainly on daylight. It also presents a striking presence to visitors arriving in Leamington Spa. We are now approaching the time for the awards again, postponed from last summer because of COVID-19. Nominations are being sought from the 12th of July until the 22nd of August and can be made on the Leamington Society website, Leamington Society, one word, .org. So please think of any project you consider worthy of an award, large or small, building, landscape or work of art, as long as it's accessible to the public and completed in the last 3 years, and submit a nomination for it.